Squatch-D TV, they're on the case. Steve and Chris, no mystery they can't face. Busting hoaxes, exposing lies. They're the champs of the Bigfoot mystery. Bringing truth, science, and clarity. Squatch-D TV, they're the real deal. Uncovering the truth, it's time to reveal. Squatch-D TV, take us on your quest. Find the legend, put the rumors to rest. Late at night, shadows creeping. Deep in the woods, secrets lay sleeping. Oh yeah. Squatch-D TV, they're on the case. Steve and Chris, no mystery they can't face. Busting hoaxes, exposing lies. They're the champs of the Bigfoot mystery. Bringing truth, science, and clarity. Squatch-D TV, they're the real deal. Uncovering the truth, it's time to reveal.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV, the Bigfoot Rap Live here on Friday night. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along down there with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. Good to see you, my friend.
Steve, man, how did the neck injections go?
They went wonderfully.
Good.
Hurt like hell, but here I am and doing a lot better today. Feels a lot better and good.
That's great.
And yeah, I'm very happy
Good
about
news.
that. And today we're joined by our good buddy, Ron Bowles. He's decided to stop in, wanting to weigh in on this topic. And he saw it and he texted me. I'm like, well, come on.
Yeah.
The more, the merrier.
That's right.
So welcome, everybody.
Always glad to see you.
And everybody.
And of course, what a heat wave it's been here in New York. It's starting to break, which is a good thing. The heat advisory is officially lifted as we are now 71 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah.
So,
71, you
I
guys
think
are
that's
sweating.
one reason run right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's been in the 90s, mid to high 90s all week, and the humidity index. Of course, up here in New York, when we get heat, we get a lot of high humidity. And we had a really interesting storm yesterday where we had 75-mile-an-hour straight line winds in Albany, New York. And my goodness, my voice is awfully scratchy tonight. I don't know why. Excuse me.
75-mile-an-hour winds is pretty bad. That's like almost tornado stuff there.
Yeah, that's most tornadic in our area.
Yeah, that was in the city of Albany, which is really... Yep, and tonight's title of the show is I Quit Why Researchers Burn Out. And of course, I'm not talking about myself, so do not worry about that. Been real close at times, but being in this as long as I have without really quitting. I've taken my absences before where I just quietly go into the night.
Well, there's times when you got, other stuff. You got to put
Absolutely.
the Sasquatch research on the back burner.
Well, there's been times, too, where the pressure gets so great that you just want to step away for a little bit, not call it quits.
Right.
Because I ain't no quitter. I thought about it one point or twice in my career, but enough people have talked about that. Now I'm going to talk about a very personal time where I felt very towards the edge of saying I quit. And Chris, you can imagine what what year that was.
Yeah.
But I turned it around because of something somebody said to me. And we'll get into that in a minute, in a little bit. But first, let's do our roll call.
Yeah. The chat is hopping. Look at this.
Yep, sure is. First in for the night.
Daniel Weeks. Hey, Daniel.
Yep, first in tonight is Daniel Weeks. Hello, Daniel. Mick is in the house. Hartgrove Mitchin, good to see you. Walter Kroll. Hello. Relic Tommen will be catching us tomorrow. We got Sharon over there from Belgium. Good to see you, Sharon. David Parker. How are you? Sandra Piper. The tall ones. Brent, what's going on?
Brent.
There he is. Jen's in the house. Oh, the bouncer's in the house. Pat Collins in the house. Charlie J, good to see you. Finding the Trackway Bill, good to see you as well. Angel Nolan, hello. Little Kilroy was here.
Little Kilroy.
Tackle Tactician in the house. Hello, Tackle.
Representing Tack. Good to see you, man. Tactician.
Tracy Bennett. Tracy Bennett's in the house.
Who, what, who, where? I'm lost. Dang it, I always get lost. Tracy. Okay.
Yeah, I got everybody. And Patrick Barron in the house as well. Patrick. There he is.
All right. Welcome. Yeah, I think that's everybody. I scrolled down there. You guys are really, really chatting away over there. That's great. And we're pleased and tickled to death that you guys would spend your Friday nights with us. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Now, every once in a while, I look for ideas on what to do Friday night. And I usually kind of wait till Friday morning to pick it because I want the content to remain relevant and fresh and new to everybody. And I saw today that one of our former guests, Michael Merchant, has called it quits in the Bigfoot world. And, you know, a lot of times when somebody quits in such a fashion, which, you know, Michael did, there's a lot of self-resentment that goes on and resentment towards the field itself. And he did show that a little bit, citing Expedition Bigfoot and Mountain Monsters. Well, Mountain Monsters to me was never a serious show. I mean, if you watch that from day one, it was never a serious show. So
entertainment.
I wouldn't even use that as an excuse, but, you know, but I kind of look at it this way, and this is no knock to Michael Merchant at all, but, you know, come on, you were on a show that was the $5 million Bigfoot bounty. And, you know, we know they planted evidence in that show. And if you look at all the players in that show, 95% of them have nothing to do with Bigfoot research anymore. And you got to wonder why that is. You know, you have one guy that got on the show saying he believed in Bigfoot. Turned out that was a lie. And then turns around and backstabs everybody that was in Bigfoot research after the fact. Pat
Collins said Mountain Monsters is the Benny Hill for hillbillies. Amen.
That's right. And, you know, so you know, if one is going to cite other reasons, you know, you got to look to yourself, unfortunately, a little bit inward look. And if you're going to cite those reasons as part of the reasons why you're quitting, you got to point, you know, people realize when you point fingers at somebody, you generally have you have a few other fingers pointing back at you, right? You got a thumb pointing back at you. You got 3 other fingers pointing back at you too. So people got to understand that. But there's a lot of reasons for people quitting. And of course, as I know, again, if you haven't gotten the psychology of Bigfoot, you would understand in the book that a lot of this has to deal with moral rationalizations. When somebody calls it quits, they're going to try to rationalize themselves to make it least impactful to themselves. It's the same way why a hoaxer confesses or a criminal confesses. A lot of times when they confess, they're always trying to minimize what they've done. Oh, the firearm went off by itself. I didn't mean to do it. It just went off. They were asking for it. I really didn't think ... And part of that is to lessen that moral rationalization in your own hands. And it does happen again when somebody says, "That's it, I quit. I've had enough." If they're not doing it for truly wholesome reasons, then they're going to try to rationalize it themselves. And I get that, and that's fine. That's what the mind needs to do. And that's no knock on Michael or anybody else that calls it quits. But in that, and now I'm going to get into my personal story. There was a time in 2008, and again, people know me, is that people wanted me to condemn somebody with evidence that I didn't have the evidence for yet. I eventually did get that evidence. And I remember there was a point in time when I'm just saying, you know, F it, I'll just walk away. I'm done with this. I've been in this 10 years. I'm done. And then at the time I was working with some disadvantaged youth, and one of them, very high functioning kid, said, you know, I saw your documentary on last week. I thought it was really cool. And I think that's the coolest thing in the world that you do that. And, you know, I was, you know, I actually was so excited to see you on television, and I was pointing at everybody. I said, I know that guy. And it was at that point that I realized that, to me, this is not something to jump in and jump out of. It's a calling. It's something that's here. Love a good mystery, and I was good at getting into it. And why should I quit something? Why should I leave something? Why should I let some asshat, or a bunch of asshats like that group that tried to shut our channel down a couple of months ago, right? Why should I let them remove me from something I love to do? Why should I let them beat me? Am I that thin-skinned? No, you know, a couple of months ago, I was like, no, it was never a question of quitting. It's a question of, what do I do next? Yeah, we gotta drop back a little bit, be quiet, be on the down low a little bit, but we're not, no discussion of just saying, let's fold it all in. Never. And since then, I have you wonderful folks. And if I'm reading that right about Randy Savig, that would be a horrible thing. So I will reach out and see what's going on with that situation.
Oh, yeah, I don't know either, Steve. I did see that Donald Sutherland died.
Yes. Yeah, that was a shock.
Kind of shocking, yeah.
But I'm not going to let something or somebody, I don't want to get off that. I don't want to let somebody or something get under my skin to the point where I say I quit, or even a topic. I can live in my own bubble. I'm fine with that. I have a wonderful audience out there, and that's why I'm not quitting. It's because of you folks out there that show up week after week, day after day on this channel to watch what content we're putting out there. That's what keeps me going. That, and every once in a while, a good shot to the back of the neck. But, yeah, Chris, if you want to take over for a second, I'm going to go see if that rumor is true real quick.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, that's the thing, and I'm going to put up a. Patty Troy says, if you're many years into research and no closer to finding anything, I can understand why people quit. It does not mean they don't believe in the phenomena. And I think there's a lot of wisdom to that statement there, Patty. A lot of guys haven't had a sighting yet. They're doing the research. They're putting boots on the ground day after day. And then when you go several years and you still don't have a sighting, it's got to be frustrating. And I know for me personally, it's frustrating. I had some stuff happen back in 2010 and not a sighting since for me. Now other guys have, but not me. So, you know, that's 14 years. That's a long time, you know.
Yeah, but I've had other experiences and other things happen, but I haven't had a, physical, oh my God, experience since the 1980s, the late 1980s. It's sort of like gold fever. I mean, once you've been exposed to, this phenomenon or this, this experience, such as Bigfoot, you're you either embrace it or you away from it.
Yeah.
But I can understand the frustration that some people might have, and of not being able to come up with something significant, or keep what they bring to the table as the main course. Which I think leads to a lot of people who career has started with merit, and then when their spotlight started to fade, that's when they turn to more extravagant ways of bringing evidence, if you might, or let's face it, they hoax.
Yeah.
And me, anytime I feel like I hoax in order to keep attention, which quite frankly I don't need, I think that's the time to think about quitting.
Right. Yeah,
Well, that's because you're a man of standards. I mean, anybody that has standards and integrity, of course, is that if that thought crosses your mind, it's time to quit, not go ahead and let's do that.
But I think what Ron is talking about, though, he's had a sighting. He's got a sighting under his belt. It may have been, decades ago, but he knows there's something to this phenomena in his mind. He knows, okay? If you take somebody that's never had a sighting or never had any activity, and they're out there looking for evidence, or looking for these creatures, trying to get a sighting or trying to get evidence, and they don't get it, that's got to be a kick in the shins. It's got to be.
Well, if it was easy, everybody could do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep. Okay. So just so you know, I just reached out to somebody that's pretty close to Randy, and he knows nothing about it. So we shall see. He's going to check on that rumor right now.
Hopefully, we can either verify that or knock it out.
He's actually going to call him right now. So,
what's the rumor again?
That one of our researchers out from the Mid-America Bigfoot Research Center has passed away. And
who is it?
Randy Savig.
Oh no!
Well, no, we haven't confirmed.
We don't know.
We don't know. I just reached out to my source that's very close to him, and he says I don't hear anything about it. Yeah, so he's going to call him right now to confirm.
Got to be careful of rumor control. We got to be verified. Yeah.
So anyway, there is a lot of reasons why people burn out. And these are workplace ones: excessive workload, lack of control, insufficient rewards, unclear job expectations, mismatch in values. There's a big one. Monotony, poor work environment, personality traits. And if somebody is a perfectionist or high achiever or have that inability to delegate or stuff like that, it's going to make it really tough for you to carry on in this field, because if you're a perfectionist, there is no perfection in this. It's a ever evolving field. The same thing with lack of values. If you're paying attention, you pay attention too much to folks that do not have the same values, you are going to burn out real fast. I could sit there and focus all day on the woo and the people that espouse woo that I don't believe in, that espouse all these tree structures of this, all that, and I can feel myself going crazy by the second. The whole idea is focus on your own bubble, your own sphere of influence, your own area. And unfortunately for some people, they just cannot do that after a while. And, I often worry about my good friend Brent, who does a lot of hoax debunking. And after a while, you can get very cynical and very wrapped up in that, Jesus, look at all these hoaxers. Well, there are a lot of hoaxers, but there's a lot of damned good people out there as well.
Right. You can't let yourself fall in that trap. Like police officers get into some police officers get into, they spend their whole career busting people, breaking the law, and after a certain period of time, some of those guys get to thinking, well, everybody's a criminal. You know, everybody's breaking the law, regardless whether they are or not.
And as somebody who has been in paramedicine for a while and then got back into it recently until a tractor trailer kind of screwed that all up, I can say my attitude was very different than it was the last time. The first time you got so, and again, maybe it has something to do with age and maturity. Sometimes with age, you find wisdom.
Sometimes we get old and tired too. I mean, just, I'm 70 something years old. I believe in it. I'll enjoy it, but I'm at a point where I just got to sit back and let you younger people do it.
Younger.
No, by the way, I'm not 70 years old. I'm talking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like you were younger than me when you were here, Ron.
Yeah. I'm not 75. I'm 50.
Oh yeah, but age has given me wisdom. It makes me a little less nimble in the forest and a little less faster in the forest. But guess what? It definitely is not curbed my enthusiasm for bringing this mystery to a resolution.
No, you just send me to put the bacon up in the tree instead of you.
Right, and I'll go out there and I'll scare the whippoorwills when it's time to scare them away.
Well, we have got some deep philosophy going on in the chat room over here. I mean,
so okay, so Randy Savig is alive and well.
Good.
He just texted Darren back and says, yeah, he just texted me back, says he's still kicking around.
Yeah, DW just told me the same.
Well, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So Randy is alive and well, and that's good news. Just he's off social media for now.
I tell you what, there's one old boy I would have not wanted to cross paths with in his younger days.
Randy.
Oh yeah.
Good guy. Real good guy.
Oh yeah, great guy. I just saying I wouldn't have wanted to cross paths with him though.
Right.
This may be another Abe Vigoda hoax.
Yeah. No, in reality, there are a lot of reasons, why one could quit in frustration. Maybe people like Mr. Footer said, maybe somebody just saw one and that's all they wanted to do was see a Bigfoot. And, okay, I'm out. And I've seen Bigfoot. Let me get out of here. But I don't find that too often. I find that once somebody sees a Bigfoot, a lot of times what it'll do is just the opposite and actually want them to get more involved. And we talk about Bigfoot on the brain and all that. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought because I gotta get off this comment stuff because I end up reading the comments and getting distracted. And
I'm putting some up every now and then here, Steve.
Yep. But yeah, I think that for the most part, if your values do not coalesce a lot of times with other people's values, and I think in Michael's place, it was very convoluted because whereas he kind of started leaning towards that woo side of things, he didn't agree with a lot of the woo folks about some of their extremisms. And that can be an issue too, because now you find yourself an island unto yourself. But I don't do this necessarily to get validated. And that's something one has to look into their own psyche as well. Is I'm not looking to be validated. I'm here to try to educate, try to learn some stuff at the same time. I've been around a long time. Ron's been on. I mean, what do you do when you're a new researcher and you're trying to navigate this course? It can get very frustrating very fast. And, you got to follow your gut instinct with who's believable, who's not. Lord knows I tell everybody double check everything, including my own stuff. I have no problem with people double checking my stuff at all. It's all part of that process. It's all part of our own peer review process. So you always try to find people. And when you find people that look to hold you up rather than put you down. That's important too. There isn't a researcher out there that I don't try to lift up. We had a good friend, Mike, who may be having some personal issues, and then that's another issue I want to get into. Is sometimes a lot of us get into this research, and we are not supported by family, including close family. Your wife thinks you're crazy, or your better half thinks you're crazy, and et cetera, et cetera. And that can cause a lot of undue stress. So here's this person gets on the scene, they're headstrong and making waves, and they're saying a lot of bold statements, and then before you know it, they're gone because they're not getting that support from their better half. And that can burn somebody out too. So you got to find that perfect. You got to find that perfect storm.
A lot of it depends on the person, though, Steve, because some people need that validation, and
Right.
some people it doesn't matter whatsoever. To me, I've been that way.
Sure.
People said, "Oh, he's crazy. He's crazy." Well, no, maybe, but not about this.
I don't think why a lot of people get out of this. It isn't so much the storm that we weather from the people outside and the criticism that they give us. I mean, I've been called crazy and goofball and make believe or whatever, that I make stuff up. Oh, you're just crazy and all that good stuff. People on the outside of the know, outside of this Bigfoot world that we live in, they see these things. It's like water on a duck. It don't faze me. It's when you find, I think there's a certain amount of politics within the ranks of it. People that, and I've heard this from, and I'm not talking about myself, but I've heard this from other folks, people that they thought was, in their corner, the validation, that they were looking for was within their own ranks, only to come to find out that that person was, drilling holes in the boat that you're trying to row. And, and that is very disheartening, people that I mean, because a lot of people go on these expeditions and become part of, and they become sort of a family-like atmosphere until you find out that your kid brother or your big sister is, stabbing you in the back. And at that point, you just want to say, you know what? I'm done. I'm out.
Sure.
And
very easily could happen. Absolutely.
And, from your, and from what you said, from what happened to you back when, and Chris, you probably experienced it, and I know I've experienced it. That hurts like hell. I mean, just, breaks your heart.
Well, I tend to look at it, and luckily maybe it's because I have a retail background, is that I have been with many major retailers over the years as an investigator for them. I've never stayed particularly loyal to one or the other because I understand the mercenary type of position it is that they're not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves. But in a way, if you look at this as people will, if I'm a manager in a particular unit or I am with a particular unit, people come and go all the time. People will say things, people will backstab. So maybe it was an environment I was a little bit used to. But the one thing I've kind of done is that when I worked in these units, because of my position, I was in my own bubble, right? I didn't report to these people, but I was there. And maybe that's kind of an advantage I've had over the years that I can do the same with this, is that I'm in my own bubble. And I know I've had team members that have been on my team and they've come and they've gone and they've left for other ventures. They find themselves a hobby they like better. I've had a few leave for music, which is fine. I've had a few leave because, whatever, they get bored with it or they just don't have time because of family commitments. I get that. That's all fine. And through that, I think that's part of the thing that toughens your skin up a bit. When people say things about you, well, fine, they're not going to be in my bubble any longer. And, that's what researchers need to do, is kind of create that bubble. And there's people like Ron, I let you in, Chris obviously is in. And, there's a lot of people that I let in my bubble to certain extents and to certain levels. Whereas, people, some people may not know what's going on in my life minute for minute, second for second. That's why every once in a while, I will cut a post to our membership, because our membership, I feel part of an obligation to let them know what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on with me, stuff like that. I want to reassure them that there is nothing wrong with the channel. The channel is going well, and it's because of the membership support that really pushes this whole project forward and this whole show forward, and our ability to do this. And that we're pushing forward despite whatever adversity we have. And that's the biggest thing, I think, is part of this, is how to deal with adversity, how to deal with conflict, how to deal with issues. And the people that quit are the people that traditionally have trouble with dealing with sometimes with that, or perhaps they just tire of it. And that's understandable too. There's a period of time like I left investigation. Why? Because I was getting burned out. I was getting tired of it. And even to this day, do I feel I made the wrong decision? No. It's time. It's gone to a position where it's irreversible. But there's not much I can do about that. At least in this, I can do a lot because of the position I hold, and that's because I've created something. I've created this for myself.
Walter Kroll. Look what Walter did. Gifted 10 Squatch-D TV memberships. Thank you so much, Walter. Wow.
Thank you, man.
You guys are great.
They are. What? Like I said, I in my life, I've always been the leader, not the follower. A lot of times, I've always walked to my beat of my own drum, and maybe that's my Aquarian nature. I'm an Aquarius, and that's supposed to be part of that agenda, that personality trait of that. If you subscribe to that sort of thing, is that they're kind of an independent free thinker, and that's the way I've been. I've always had jobs where I've been independent. So for me, I don't have that kind of crisp perspective of why somebody may necessarily get burned out or leave, although I've had my own burnout in different jobs in my life. And this particular thing, since I'm so invested in it, and this is my meat and potatoes. This is what I love to do. This is my passion. I can't see myself leaving that either a year down the road, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. I feel like like John Green hung in there until his death. I feel the same way, as that this is always going to be part of me, this mystery. And I can't see myself leaving it.
Look at Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. I mean, good Lord, they practically had to, emergency medevac him off of a ship last year. Yeah. Year later, what's he doing? The exact same. I mean, he's out there lecturing and sharing what he knows about the subject. And you know what? Like me, don't like me. I mean, that's fine. But the thing is, I'm there to explore. I'm there to discover. But most importantly, I'm there to share.
Right.
I love sharing what I know or what I've experienced and my point of view with other people. When I take someone out there and they have their first experience, whether it's a visual or they hear something or something gets thrown at them and they get excited, I'm twice as excited for them. I feel like the father of a kid that just landed his first big mouth bass.
Amen. Amen. And there has been people that, and I get humbled. It's so humbling sometimes that when I get out there, and now that I've been doing this a while, of course, I'm not a new kid on the block anymore. And that's kind of hard to wrap myself around at times. And people come up to me and say, hey, you know what? I've been following you for years, or, I really enjoy your research. And, we got even this past, like last week, we got a couple of people that caught our show with Dr. Meldrum, and, they start looking at the channel and I'm like, thank you for putting a channel up that has the truth on it, and that Or another person said, I love that the fact that you're using an honest, fresh type of look at this mystery. And for me to say, wow, I've been doing this 25 years and I'm still being called fresh. That's to me is like, wow, what am I doing right? And I'm not patting myself on the back because I'm in shock. I'm in shock that people can actually say that. And it is a very humbling experience because I'm a normal guy. I put my pants on like everybody else. I'm not greater than anybody. I may have some more knowledge about certain things than other people, but they certainly have more knowledge about other things than I do. So everybody has their intrinsic value. Where I may know a little bit about this particular aspect, they may know a little bit more about that particular aspect. And that's the beautiful thing of community, is sharing.
Right.
And if there's one thing I'm good at, is putting myself out there and orating and getting the message out. That's the one good thing. I've always been front and center stage. So that doesn't, even Chris gets, Chris will be the first one to tell you that Chris hated being on video. Was always like, hey, you want to be a guest on a show? That's fine. I'm going to pass because that's not my thing. I don't like being out in front. A lot of my team members, they don't want to be in the front. They want to be in the background. And that's their prerogative, because guess who takes the shots? But guess who's got the body armor to take the shots? And that's important. That's why we're very careful on how we step and how we move and how we do things. And all of those things help prevent you from getting burned out or saying, I quit.
Well, what about Steve? What would you say if some people, like some researchers, had been going out and doing the investigation and putting boots on the ground, and they had a possible sighting and then quit? What would have caused that?
That's the jagged pill.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't understand that line of thinking. Maybe maybe their journey was just for themselves. See, a lot of times you see these websites with, people out there, and they put themselves out there. Those are people that are out for themselves, but in a different way.
And then
Thank you, Mick.
When they do have that the individual sighting, that personal experience, like I said, I've said many a times, it's a jagged pill. Sometimes, it makes a person want to embrace, and sometimes it makes people want to turn the other way. It's whether they take the red pill or the blue pill.
Right. Right. But if somebody's putting themselves out there, why would they, all of a sudden tuck tail and run because they had an experience? To me, it's almost like they've had a selfish motive a bit the whole time.
Well, Steve, all I can relate to is what I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Had an expedition in Oklahoma years back, and there was about 3 or 4 guys out there, and one of them, he was big too. He was like 6'6" and built like a Sherman tank. And the night before, there was an experience where a Squatch went running through where the campgrounds were. And when he looked out, and when they looked out there, one of them had a flashlight, and was.
Oh no! Did we lose Ron?
We lost Ron. I will say this though, for me, having experiences is like the ultimate drug.
You're back.
Yeah. Well, no. It was actually was the exact opposite.
Right.
They went to this expedition just to see what it's all about, and thought, 3 guys, this was on the bucket list or what have you. And when they looked out their tent, flashed around the flashlight, and caught this big set of hairy legs running through their campsite, they were packed up and gone by 10 o'clock the next morning.
And sometimes reality. And you see, this is not the kind of people I'm necessarily are the target of this discussion. Those are people that want to know the truth. They found the truth and they left. These are people who've been around and doing it, and all of a sudden up and quit, and they don't want to do it anymore. You have people like, there's a couple of people that come to mind that first say they believe, and they get a little bit of notoriety, and then all of a sudden they pull a 180. And generally what's going to happen to them is they're eventually going to leave themselves. Unless, of course, it's all about them. Then they're going to kind of linger. And they'll say they leave, but they kind of leave their stink every once in a while. And they'll show up once in a while just to leave their stink. And of course, I'm not talking about Michael at all. There's nothing to do with Michael at all. He made a decision. He's got other loves, and that's fine. That's cool. You want to move on. He wants to do magnet fishing and a little more peaceful stuff. And that's all fine and great. Good luck to him. We wish him the best. I'm sorry that he had such a jaded experience in the Bigfoot world. Because it is a bumpy road in the Bigfoot world. There's no doubt. You don't get into anything without there being bumps in the road. You don't get into anything worthwhile without there being bumps in the road. Think about any job, any position that is worth it, that goes smoothly or goes exactly like you want it, or you do not make friends and enemies with, right? We got a couple of people, Chris and I kind of chuckle about this every week. We got a couple of people, no matter what show we put out there, they got to put that thumbs down on that show. And you know what our reaction is to that? Thank you for the view.
Thank you.
Thank you for the view.
Bad press is good. Bad press is still good press because at least it's press.
That's not true. Not true at all. And I've been a victim of bad press.
Mm.
Well, if they open up the channel to give us a thumbs down, they're going to get counted as a view. So thank you for the view.
Right. You don't like what we do? Well, thanks for the view.
Appreciate it. But, I think some people can get burned out on it. And it can be a thing. And it is frustrating. It is frustrating.
Well, yeah, you can get burned out. And that's why, if you notice, I temper myself. There's times where I'm headstrong into it. The whole idea is if you like the Bigfoot mystery, don't let this be your 100% focus at all times. All right. Like me, I've made a commitment to this channel. When we decided to create a membership for this channel, that's a commitment. Because we're offering, we're now asking for sponsors for this channel. So that's a commitment. So I have to put time in this every week. But that doesn't mean I have to put in 100% of my free time on 100% on this. I've honed my video editing skills. I've honed my own story writing skills to the point where I don't have to 100% commit to this every week. But I put a good portion of my time to this. But I do spend my time looking at other things that I find enjoyment in. And that balance, that's the balance that you need. And some people, like Michael, may have found that they enjoy doing that more and they want to put this to the side, and that's fine. And that's what seems to be the case here. But there are some people that just up and quit because of tumult in their lives. And, if they're doing it because of tumult in their lives, is this phenomenon or this course of hobby or whatever you want to call it, if that's the cause for it and it's causing you trouble in your personal life, by all means, get out. But you got to find that right perfect storm to commit. It's okay to be a watcher. It's okay to be an enthusiast, but to be a researcher, to investigate cases, to put out a channel, to do a lot of social media posts, that does take a lot.
Yeah. You remember that old documentary or what was that? Bigfootville?
I remember that.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was just on Dave Wilbank's podcast.
Yeah, and there was a old boy down there in Oklahoma. I think it was towards the end of the show, and he talked about his first experience and how he's been hooked on her ever since. Ended up leaving his wife, living out there in the woods 24/7. The whole 9 yards. Got ate up with the fever.
Yep.
To the point that it destroyed his personal life. Now, makes me wonder today, is he still in it or is he burned out?
Well, the other, it's very big about obsession. And unfortunately, I had a prominent newscaster on TV once asked me on a national television. I just ignored the question because it was such an ignorant question. I thought it was very ignorant. Is this all you think about? No, I'm not an obsessive freak like you might be on. I almost said like you are on politics. I almost let that fall out of my mouth. But I was lucky enough to catch that because, all you talk about is politics. I mean, is that all you think about? I mean, what kind of question? I was like, what kind of question? This almost came out. I mean, being the New Yorker I am, it's like, what kind of question is that?
I'm
That's
sorry.
that's a very New York. That's a very New York thing to say, by the way. It's like, hey, what the kind of question is that? Yeah. And that almost came out, and you hear me, and I just like take a deep breath for a second, and I just ignore it. I said something like, "Well, this has been a living hell."
My response would have been, hell no. I also wonder what's for dinner. Can't it tell?
Well, I think this is, if you just look at it as a hobby and not something you're going to be doing every day,
Right.
you can keep yourself healthy, mentally healthy anyway, and not get burned out, even if you don't have a sighting. There's certain times a year, depending on where you're at, that you're going to have certain times of the year that you go out and you get more activity than you do during the other parts of the year.
Right.
And that's what I do. Like, here in Kentucky, it's March and April, or March and early April. And that's about the only time of the year you can expect to do anything other than maybe if you trek around out there in the middle of the summer, get snake bit.
we know how much you love getting snake bit.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Now, I mean, my advice is that if you're a watcher of this and you're a staunch enthusiast, be a staunch enthusiast. Don't get wrapped up into it all the time. There are people that will. There are people that will get themselves in politics of the situation. Don't. And I think, a good example is Brent. He doesn't get necessarily involved with the politics of it. He says what he says and moves on. And it's the people that get the brunt of the BS. Of course, the people he spotlights are putting out BS. So they deserve the brunt of it. And then they want to take action. And, as we have found out, Chris, there are times that can be very, burdensome. Yeah. But then again, we put ourselves out there on a different level than a lot of other people do. And, I can say this, that, if you're starting to feel that burnout, take some time off, take a few days, let it drop for a few. I mean, there's been times where people haven't seen a video drop in a week. It's because I just need the time off. I need the coconut to reset. Maybe because something's bothering me, maybe because of something personal. Like this week, I didn't do a midweek. I did a video earlier in the week, but I didn't do one later in the week because, I had some physical stuff I had to go through. I had my procedure yesterday, and I had to deal with that and just hold back. I've also, this week, I was dealing a lot with vertigo, and that has since subsided as well, thanks to some medication. It happens, but
Steve, how dare you take your personal health and put that over this? What? I thought you were a dedicated man.
Well, the amazing thing is, Ron, I did show up on a podcast both on Monday and Wednesday this week as a guest. So I did kind of suck that up and do that.
Well,
and I am a little bit ashamed to mention, too, that in 2017, I didn't do any research in March because, unfortunately, I was unable to do that because of that heart attack and bypass surgery.
No excuse. No excuse.
I know I should have been out there.
And as it is, I did have to rein myself in on one event this year, the Rochester Parafest, because that is tomorrow. But I'm right now, I'm trying to convalesce myself and build my strength up for August, which is Hocking Hills. And I'm dealing with 40,000 plus people over the course of 2 days. And being at an event for, you're there for 12 hours in a day. So
there's dedication. If B-Mills can have a damn near a heat stroke and still carry on that event, I don't want to hear about no sorry health excuse like heart attacks and stuff like that. I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, I did drive around through the research area though, but I didn't get out and do any tracking. But I did drive back in 2017.
I gotta say that about B. You know, she did almost have a heat stroke last year. If she had, at the very least, she had heat exhaustion, and we had to hold her back because she kept wanting to get out. No, you sit there and you stay put. We got this. And you know,
I saw her last month. I saw her last month at West Virginia, and I looked at her in her eyes. I say, "You pull that shit again, and I will personally show up and sit on you."
Yeah. Yeah, but talk about and then there she was, Saturday night, just doing her thing again. I'm like, holy shit, she's amazing. You know, I think that everybody take this mystery for what it's worth. For most, it's a hobby. I'm glad people are coming to this channel and enjoying that. Yeah. There is a price I think we all pay in a little in our own ways when we're out there as much as we do. I know I lose a little bit of privacy. I know I lose a little bit of not getting shots taken. I mean, how many people have websites or YouTube channels made up with their face on it with various fetish things on them because they don't like me? Or because I've called them out on something that they hoaxed. Eventually, and we have to deal with the psychos. Believe it or not, there have been psychos. You don't think I've had death threats? I've had plenty of death threats over 25 years of doing this and calling people out. I had one group, and I'll even blast it right out there, Kat Hansen, who started making phony claims that she received death threats from me, which is total horseshit, pardon my French. And then some cat, I forget his name because he's a nobody, says, well, don't you think that we should, denounce violence? Absolutely. I can agree with that. I said, if somebody says anything about, harming anybody, I will speak out against that. And then a week later, somebody sent me a little chat message that went on in a group between Kat Hansen, her son, and this cat that was speaking nonviolence. And the son was talking about killing me. And there's the cat talking about nonviolence, laughing along with it, going along with it. So I screenshot that and sent it to him. I said, F you, F her, F all he is, goodbye.
Crystal's got a question for you, Steve. Yeah. Steve, you ever had a stalker?
Yes. More than once.
Well, I'm jealous. I'm not pretty enough to get a stalker. I wish I was pretty enough to get a stalker. I'm just not.
I actually had a stalker before the Bigfoot thing. I had a stalker when I was a firefighter. Way back in the day, firefighter, paramedic. Way back in the day, I had a stalker.
Yeah, well, yeah, Ron's right. Bigfoot are stalkers. They are.
I remember I showed up at the fire station and she was hiding. She had her car parked way off in the bushes near the firehouse. Yeah. Crazy.
Oh, thanks, Tackle Tactician. I appreciate it, bud. Thank you. Trying to make me feel better.
Tackle, I'm sorry to feel that you were under the weather. Hopefully, our prayers that you are feeling better and you get back to better health. My voice is a little cracky tonight because I haven't been talking very much today. I've actually been like one of those quiet days today where my voice isn't really properly warmed up.
Well, having your neck injected with shit don't probably help either.
Yeah, that's very true too. I might have a little bit of extra swelling in that area that because it's all right in there, and that of course all focuses into the vocal cords a little bit. But Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it would make somebody say I quit. I know years ago, my ex-wife, who was not very supportive of this venture, and that was during my most crucial times. When I set Squatchdetective.com, I was in a relationship where my ex-wife was not very supportive of this, although she knew I was a Bigfoot researcher when she married me. And as a relationship sours, everything else sours with it. So her hatred of this became even worse over time. And but I did not let it stop me from doing what I needed to do. So there was a period of like 3 years. Well, actually, it was a period for a few years. I was very quiet and very. And then in 2005, when we launched SquatchDetective.com, she was not a happy camper about that because that's where I was getting I was starting to get national attention. She didn't like that at all. But
Fortunately,
what it is.
I mean, my wife it'll be a cold day and where before she goes out in the middle of the woods at night with me. But she has supported me from day one on this. She says anything that gets me out of the house days on end is okay with her. But no, she's been very supportive of it. Now, my first wife, I guarantee you, I couldn't have done what I do with that. I mean, I was barely able to go to the store without catching hell for that. So
and people will ask, well, did it cause your breakup of your marriage, Steve? No, it did not. This did not. But I look at it this way too. If I am something, if I'm a Bigfoot researcher and you're coming into this relationship, I'm not going to change who I am. I am who I am. Because then I myself don't become a happy person, and then I cheat myself, and I'm not who I'm supposed to be. I'm lucky in my marriage that I have somebody that says, "Hey, let's go out to the woods tonight. Let's do this. Let's do this." So I'm lucky in that aspect. But anyway, I'll let you guys wrap up. We got a few minutes left before we get out of here.
Well, you wrapped it up pretty good to me, Steve. I'm just going to tell everybody over the chat we appreciate you guys joining us, and special thanks to Ron Bowles for joining us again. It's always a pleasure having Ron on.
Yeah, see what I mean about an hour just flying by?
Yeah, it's all of a sudden, boom, here we are.
All I can say is, especially when it comes to the politics that's in the Bigfoot world, and there is,
yep,
the research comes first. The wanting to explore, discover, and learn more new things about these phenomenal creatures that we share this God's green earth with should always be first. And so and to share what you have learned. Don't treat this as your special little gold mine that you just want to sit there, and be a miser about it. Share with people about it. Whether you write it down or talk about it, but don't let something dissuade you from doing that if that's where your heart truly is.
Yep, and Batmom was asking where you're from. You're from the Ozarks. That's what I said.
I'm from the Ozarks. I'm not from Missouri, not from Arkansas. I'm from the Ozarks. So there.
So
I think Ron's audio cut out there.
Yep. Well, folks, anyway, it is 9:59. We thank everybody for coming on the Bigfoot Wrap for tonight. I'm sorry this 1 hour show really flies by.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, 1 hour. It's gone. Again, thanks everybody over in chat, and thanks again to Ron. And remember, guys, if it's your first time here, and I think we may have a few new names over there.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff that helps the algorithm, helps get us going. And make sure to stick around. Come back Sunday night.
And as Sunday, of course, our topic is back to the big guy. This is the Bigfoot Wrap, so we talk about just about anything in the Bigfoot world, and maybe sometimes even outside the Bigfoot world. But yep, this is the Bigfoot Wrap on Friday nights. We spin some programs. We have the Bigfoot Wrap, the Bigfoot Evidence Review, and the Bigfoot News. And I think we'll probably be doing a Bigfoot News next week because I think we got enough Bigfoot stories now to make a newsworthy news program. But anyway, this was the Bigfoot Wrap. Last week we did a Bigfoot Evidence, I think. I'm not even sure anymore.
Sunday we did the Osman thing.
Yeah, Sunday. Well, that was a whole show on that. But yeah, I think we did a Bigfoot Wrap last week as well. And the week before we did the Bigfoot Evidence.
Yeah.
So we'll be in line for a Bigfoot News next week. Of course, Sunday nights we do our Bigfoot 2-hour Bigfoot talk show. It's at Squatch-D TV Live, and where we will talk and have a guest on and have all kinds of fun and talk about the mystery about our wonderful hairy biped Bigfoot. And for me and everybody, Ron, again, thanks for coming on, my brother. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Ron.
And everybody will catch you Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV. And everybody be good. Have a great Saturday. And everybody, will catch you all in a couple of days.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.
God almighty.